Oh my god, I've got a lot of things to do, and I am essentially doing something where I was in the middle of editing some certain review. I just had to do a certain video. If you know what I'm doing, I think if you've seen my Fear Street video, I'm trying to essentially do a combo review, and I just did it so long. The first for part one, I think for like parts two and three, I'm just gonna like try and condense it down to like 5 minutes. Like just notice like the most important details, but it's like there's so many important details that it's gonna be like an hour long. So look forward to that review. Probably at the end of the month because I'm only reviewing these Fear Street movies with spoilers included. Um, just right after I see them. So yeah. But we got a new quarter crew video here. VFX artists react to The Mummy, bad and great CGI, and from the thumbnails, I think it's the first from the Brendan Fraser ones. The Mummy is a film I really enjoy. I love those first two Mummy films, both The Mummy and Mummy Returns. Even though Mummy Returns kind of went a little over the top at times, I will say my least favorite part was the CGI on the Rock because yeah, you could tell they could not finish that. I feel like it's like they couldn't finish it in time rather than being lazy. And from what I understood, they fast tracked production on The Mummy Returns so, they could, repeat the same success. In fact, when did The Mummy Returns start shooting? Mummy Returns. In fact, let me show you. I actually own these on Movies Anywhere. Let's just show you my movies as well. Mummy Returns. Um, let's see. I don't see the production dates, but it was followed by the 2008 sequel. Yeah. I do remember. I think they started shooting around mid 2000, and like because of that thing, they had to shoot. Like I said, they had to shoot the movie Mummy Returns fast in order because the first movie came out in May of 1999, and it was a success. And in many ways, the first Mummy movie had some of the best CGI, from '99. And second one had some decent effects, but yeah, May 1st, 2000 to September 29th, 2000. So they shot it very fast. You could tell they had to shoot it very fast with the limited resources. And I think because they were focusing a lot of the budget on doing the effects on Mummy Imhotep, most of them, and like there's more effects. Like the first movie was like 85 million. Let me just show you. Right here, I own them on Movies Anywhere, including Scorpion King and Dragon Emperor. I really hated Dragon Emperor. That one was like the worst film of the series. It's because of Dragon Emperor. It was so bad they had to cancel the potential fourth movie and instead reboot it, which is sad. But I don't make the rules in life. But anyway, we got here VFX artist react to the Mummy, bad and great CGI. I think we got one of the VFX artists here. So I want to see. I didn't know they fixed the shot of the Rock. Except one thing I noticed about the Mummy Returns is that when the Rock pushes through. Just let me show you this. Mummy Returns, Scorpion King. All right, let me show you what I see every time I see the movie. Because when the Rock is like when the CG Scorpion King is in the background, it's not half bad. But once they show more shots of him, it's like, yeah, you could tell. Yeah, you can notice the claw going through the door. There we. Clearly, I actually made this comment, and it's got like 244 likes in the last 2 years. I think clearly Bethesda made this scene. So let me show you what scene I am talking about. It's this one. Let me just up the resolution so I can see what the hell I'm looking at. Mute sound, playback speed, normal. And, alright, so from his right claw, our left, right here. Look at this. Right there. You can see the claw, the right claw, the giant right claw slightly going through the door. And from what I know, ILM had to rush the effects, and what we essentially saw was actually a week's worth of completed effects. So yeah, I could tell there was studio involvement of like, you gotta hurry it up, Stephen Summers. In fact, it's funny. I remember after G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra, Stephen Summers decided to take a break from Hollywood, and he tried returning to the smaller scale with Odd Thomas, which was a pretty good movie, but it didn't make enough money, and so I think he's essentially retired from filmmaking. Maybe he's still alive, maybe he isn't. I don't know. Let's see what the guys at Quarter Crew and apparently a VFX artist from The Mummy have to say. Let's just start the video.
Wow! Whoa! His reactions are amazing. I love these guys. Yeah.
When he gets hit by the sand.
He's really getting hit by real jets of sand right there.
Oh.
You know, sometimes we finish these drawings out to full color, very slick. Sometimes they're just, we need to get it done fast.
Brendan Fraser is having to do all this acting
Yes.
with nothing around
That
him.
is
So
true.
I'll tell you what the big
yeah,
reveal is here.
yeah. Thanks to Audible for sponsoring
I hope they're just talking about the first two movies.
this video. Stick around
Well,
at
maybe
the end
just
to
the
see how
first
you can
one,
get
it
a
depends.
30-day trial for free.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Visual Effects Artists React. We're joined by a very special guest today. You guys might know Nick. Well, turns out his dad has done a bunch of work in the industry and is kind of a legit OG dude. We are joined today by Alex Laurent. I guess you could describe him as an art director for visual effects.
Yeah, so that is correct. I'm a visual effects art director and concept artist as well.
What kind of projects have you worked on that we might have seen or heard about?
Well, some of the more high-profile ones would certainly have been at ILM. I was there for 8+ years. Some of the films you might recognize were Saving Private Ryan was one of the first films I worked on. Minority Report. Digital was exploding, and it was this super exciting transition time from practical to the new digital.
What would you describe a visual effects art director as? What do they do?
So what a visual effects art director does is basically designing all of the cool effects that you see. And that includes creatures and imaginary landscapes and anything that doesn't exist, and rendering what it will look like. And these renderings are used as a guide and a template and a blueprint for a lot of stages of the approval process.
What's in there? Is that a mystery for later?
That's a mystery box. Might include...
Okay, I gotta look up this guy first. Alex Laurent? I think that's how it is. Alex Laurent. Alex Laurent. VFX. Yeah, Laurent. Alright, Alexandra Laurent. Here it is. I'm looking up very quickly. So, yeah, started off on ILM. Let me just pause here because my mom's calling me now. I have to handle something. Sorry, I had to solve some chores for a while. But yeah, Alex Laurent. 2 notifications for what? Oh, there's gonna be a lot of shit for me to upload. I feel it. Alright, so I'm looking at it now. Okay. Okay, so he did some of the... Alright, Saving Private Ryan, The Mummy, Mission to Mars, Mummy, Minority Report, Peter Pan, Day After Tomorrow. All these are ILM movies. So, yeah. Electronic Arts UK Studio, and was a... Alright, so his next 2 movies after working at ILM were called Conspirator and Clown, as a creature concept designer, and the other one is a... And he was an illustrator on the Green Lantern movie, which was horrible. What Green Lantern movie? Oh, Clown from Eli Roth. Oh no, wait, John Watts. It's produced by Eli Roth. John Watts, who did some of the recent Spider-Man films and is now directing the new Fantastic Four movie. And which is this other one? I'm sorry I had to delay the video again, but hey, these quarter crew videos, they keep bringing up interesting points, like the conspirator. Oh yeah, Robert Redford. I remember this movie. Yeah, that one was a pretty good film, the conspirator. Um, sorry. Yeah, you hear my mom. She's fighting with the dogs. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, I keep looking at pointless details. Let's go back to the video.
I want you to be able to react, Fred. That's why they call it react.
You must not read from the book!
Are we getting mummified?
We're going to get mummified. we're getting mummified.
We are in serious trouble.
Damn it. Frickin' ad blocker.
We are in serious trouble. The Mummy.
I think I was in like 7th grade when it came out, and I really wanted to see this movie. Like, it kind of came out of nowhere, because like it's just The Mummy. It's like, that's like an old monster, right? Who's into this? But you see the trailer, it's like, this looks pretty rad.
You know, that it holds up. People really still like that movie. You can't say that about all of the big tentpole effects movies of the day, but that one is among those that seems to still have appeal. It was a lot of work. It was actually the biggest project that I'd worked on at ILM at the time.
Also, yeah, there, right there, that's, I think that's Stephen Summers, and that's the visual effects supervisor, John Andrew Burton, Jr., who was, yeah, actually a lot of, ILM alums worked on that. John Burton Jr., yeah, John Andrew Burton Jr., this guy right here. Oh, you can see his picture. I think you did already. Yeah, Jurassic Park, the first two of my films, and Men in Black 2, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, yeah, started off at ILM and then did, T2 Judgment Day, Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country, Death Becomes Her, Jurassic Park, The Mask, Casper, Men in Black, Deep Rising, which was his first movie with Stephen Summers, and then The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Yeah, this was a big project. Wait, when did The Mummy? I think it was in production for a long time. You know, and a lot of people at ILM worked on the movie. If I find it here, I hope I can. VFX production, ILM. Yeah, and then I think John Burton Jr. He left ILM. Yeah, there's like a lot of people who started off at ILM, like Joe Terry. Wait, what? Yeah, like Joe Terry, for example, started off at ILM before going to Weta. So that's interesting. Revenant, yeah, like look at all this. This is ILM alone. Yeah, here it is. The Mummy. So I'm looking at it here. Yeah. Complete credits. Let's look. Yeah. Um. Oh, Pablo Hellman, Glenn McIntosh. Let's see, Pablo Hellman. Um. And Scott Farrar as well. Yeah, a lot of people worked on it. I got to really rewatch The Mummy. Yeah.
So you pretty much art directed Emotep.
That's right. That was one of the things that the director needed to have designed and visualized
Ethan Summers.
earliest was Imhotep, because that is why he came to ILM. The question is, why remake The Mummy? Well, he wanted to have an answer for that. He wanted to say, because this is going to be like no mummy you've ever seen, we're going to achieve this in a way that does not look like makeup or costume or practical effects. So
This is still a great effect.
the design of Imhotep went through many, many stages. It was like a contest. Everyone pretty much threw in their own best ideas for the mummy. Okay. And it was so fun. There were art all over the walls, everyone's different ideas. And I lucked out that he liked the drawing that I did. which was
Of course.
which was this one.
Wow.
Whoa!
So that's the first pencil drawing.
Also, the cinematography that Adrian Biddle did on these two Mummy films still hold up well.
Okay. His reactions are amazing. I love these guys' reactions. There you go. That's Imhotep stage 1.
It's like so visceral.
Here, hold that.
Yeah, okay.
So that was a pencil drawing, scanned in basically. There's a full body one.
So rad.
So this basically was what got the approval from him as far as the transparency. So, as we said, he had to go through stages. So this was
so cool.
this was stage 2.
Ah, dude, his eyes.
So this
Yeah.
was where we were pushing the limit of grossness for an R rating versus a PG-13, was wormy bits around the eyes,
You got eyelid guts.
eyelid guts. So these are Imhotep's later stages as he's sort of reforming. There we go.
Oh,
That became another iconic. His jaw disconnects, opens into this super scream,
Yeah.
and all the flies come pouring out.
Yeah.
Part of our process back in the day, and it might be used sometimes now, although I have a feeling it's all digital now, is we would go to our awesome model shop and have our awesome sculptors sculpt us models called maquettes.
Oh,
We had our model
what?
shop help out. Because there's nothing, again, like holding something in your hand, not staring at a screen all the time, and also for lighting and textures. We'll have a really beautiful model made and painted.
Is this is the opening shot to the movie?
It is. It is the
Which was a
opening shot.
model shot.
It looks CG to me, or maybe like 2.5D.
I'm assuming it starts off 3D, but is there miniature stuff here too? It
look at that.
looks a little too detailed
Yeah.
for me to think that it's 3D.
It's just everything around here, all the people here are actually CG. And actually, I think this is what Scott Farrar ended up doing.
So supposedly Nick is in the shot, right?
Yes. Maybe. Rumor
Oh,
has
that's
it.
right. This is that
Rumor
shot.
has it.
But you're in the mummy?
You're in the mummy?
You're in the mummy.
You're telling us that millions of people around the world.
Yeah, he's down there. He's with some kids and a dog.
Oh, I see Nick. He's right there.
He's
I
obvious.
recognize him.
Obvious.
I recognize Nick. But the biggest thing that stands out to me is the fact that it doesn't look like any of the people are actually like in the original plate. They look added.
What gives them away?
The people look like they're filmed with the tripod on a green screen. So as the camera is moving, you're not quite getting a subtle rotational parallax shift on the
Yeah,
people.
okay.
It's almost like a bit of a billboard cutout.
You guys are pretty close, but also amusingly not in some ways. I'm getting some real enjoyment out of this. Okay, the Sphinx, the plaza, the temple buildings, all of that is a miniature.
Wow.
Okay.
All a miniature.
What's the scale here? Like, how tall is that Sphinx?
That is about 4.5 feet tall.
Okay.
Here is my drawing of the Sphinx and the scaffolding.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
This is what informed the prop makers to build the scaffolding on the Sphinx in the movie.
That's right. You know, sometimes we finish these drawings out to full color, very slick. Sometimes they're just, we need to get it done fast.
This is amazing.
So you designed the plaza.
Yeah.
Everything from the paintings to the statues
That's
to the
right.
torch in the middle.
Cool.
Yeah. Any Egyptian scholar would look at this and go, that top piece, that wasn't
Yeah, I was
until
gonna ask, is like-
centuries later, and they never did that thing until that, you know.
Like, did you worry about like Upper Nile versus Lower Nile, like design or?
Define worry. My favorite times were visiting the models being built, because that's also a thing you can go physically see. You walk around this amazing thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that I miss about like a lot of old movies. I kind of like I miss seeing miniatures, seeing miniature shots or stuff. Because from what I know, I think miniatures are now too expensive. Let me see. Miniatures expensive. Why are miniatures so expensive? I think, yeah, oh. Why are VFX miniatures so expensive? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, like, I know that are miniatures cheaper than CGI? Yeah. Because I know that, I know like movies like, MCU, which I'm a huge fan of, they use a lot of CG and I can see why. it's just I miss the thing about miniatures. If Marvel wants to hire me as like a creative consultant, they should hire me. And if I was the chairman of Hollywood, I would say use as much practical effects as possible, and we're gonna make sure the practical effects, even though they're big, look affordable than CG. I just miss that. I feel like I remember the first two Iron Mans. There is CG involved, but they had a lot of practical effects. So like, for the first two Iron Mans, you could see like they actually had to make models of like Robert Downey Jr.'s body so they could build the Mark forearmors or something like that. And also for Don Cheadle, for the second one, they actually just do the top of it and just keep it to the and just have the bottom stuff is all mocap. Half of it is real and mocap, and that's what was really impressive about those first two Iron Man films was that there was a lot of CG involved, but Jon Favreau knew to keep a lot of practical effects. And I feel like ever since the first Avengers movie, they've unfortunately had to abandon that. Marvel, seriously, if you want to hire me as your creative consultant, bring me in. Just I don't want to live in LA. I can do either New York or New Jersey, but yeah, you can hire me as the creative consultant, and I'll be like, I'll fix everything so people can officially shut up about you guys. Hire me, guys.
Thing they're building from your drawings, and it's just incredible to see it come to life.
Adam Savage worked in that model department at
yeah.
ILM.
Oh, yeah.
Did you work with him? Did you know?
He worked on. No. Adam and I go back to this. The
can't
Mummy
just
and the Mummy
casually
Returns.
drop that. What?
Yeah, the model shop was incredible. Tori and Grant, of course. And there was some bond that we had with the model shop because we all worked with traditional, tactile, physical media. So I got to talk about how this shot was even composed and created. So that wall there, you see,
That's
and
real.
those soldiers on the sand.
This one, I've seen the behind the scenes. That's the mixture, and this is the real plate that they're shooting. And I think this was shot on a backlot because this stuff wasn't here. That's the miniature that's being comped in. So it's kind of two shots in one. They had to shoot that, and everyone here is essentially real, not a model. This side is real.
They were filmed in Morocco. That is an actual ancient fortress wall.
Wow.
That wall.
What? Whoa, it transitioned from a miniature to real footage here?
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking this was also some more miniature stuff.
And so what they did is they basically did an incredibly thorough track on the shot, and then we took the curve of the camera from the moment the actual plate starts, and we extended it backwards to create this smooth camera move that then informed pre-visualization that I did with some of my previous artists in the art department. That was then used to extrapolate for the model shop the exact dimensions and scale we would need to create all of the structures. Shall I tell you what the big reveal is here?
Yeah.
If I'm remembering this correctly, we ended up filming the model pretty much at almost a noon or early afternoon light. And I believe that was all caused by reversing out again from the live action plate. I think the director then called for this
Hold on.
caused by reversing.
Yeah, so they were completing it. It was the biggest one. Also, they had to complete it in time.
Out again from the live action plate. I think the director then called for this change of lighting, magic hour, sunlight to the left, sun setting to the left pretty much. A pretty radical change of lighting direction late in the whole process. We'd already filmed this miniature. It was already in the can, as we used to say. It was way too late in production to reshoot it. So it was all up to the compositing team to essentially relight this entire bloody shot. Well, and they did a masterful job, given the short time they had and everything else.
So you're telling me a compositor had to go through and specifically darken all of the highlights on the front of the...
Front of the Sphinx. They left, I believe what you're seeing there is real, that edge light, side light on the...
Hold on a second. Let me just... I got more chores to do. Alright, back to the video. I had to handle some business. Yeah, I can see it now.
On the screen left side, that is all real light, I believe. But all of the front face that you're seeing so darkened, that was all pushed in comp.
Interesting,
That
okay.
was extremely controlled.
I mean, dealing with shadows can be a surprisingly challenging process.
Well, there's no automated way to do it.
No.
You just have to brute force it. Even
Yeah.
today, you just have to cut it out by hand or paint it in by hand. There's no other way to do that.
That's right.
In my opinion, The 90s is the golden era of cinema. You know, sure, there's still good movies now, but I think the second half of the 90s is the best movies have ever been. And if you have any suggestions for visual effects from the 90s that we should react to, please leave a comment down below.
So another big part was Imhotep's ability to change into sand. And we spent a lot of visual development time devising concepts for how that would look.
Whoa, yeah.
So this was, again, trying to define, just in an image, what level of subtlety for a director's approval and for the effects team to start wrapping their heads around how to do it. I didn't want it to feel like a face pushing through a rubber sheet. We wanted it to feel very organic. It's not solid and locked like a piece of plastic. It comes and it goes. You see it, you don't see it. And that was a really hard thing to dial. And that also pushed the state of the art in particle system animation in the day.
So particles, basically what you're going to be doing is going to be spawning points in space, and you can stick what's basically a card onto that particle.
What?
Basically what you're going to be doing is going to be spawning points in
System animation in the day.
So particles, basically what you're going to be doing is going to be spawning points in space, and you can stick what's basically a card onto that particle. In other words, a sprite. Basically just imagine a little card with like an animation of a puff or something like that on it, and you can just multiply that 100 times.
They created essentially an animated mesh for the face that was animated in fairly traditional digital keyframe fashion to open up. And then they basically devised a way to get all the particle emitters to stick to
like a
mesh.
surface emitter type deal. Before that was like referred to as that.
Before it was called a surface emitter, or before that was widely known, that's what was going on here.
These days, people tend to use something called volumetrics. You have voxels as opposed to particles. So a voxel is a volumetric pixel. Imagine taking a space and dividing it up into thousands or millions of tiny little cubes, and those cubes can have properties like how much light can pass through. And that's how you can do dust these days with voxels. But it's a very different system compared to particles back in the day. And one of the things that particle systems kind of miss that voxels have is a more definite shape. Because you've seen like thick smoke coming off a volcano. Like that's like thick, defined smoke. You can't do that with particle systems. You can do that with fluid systems and voxels.
Whoa!
See, you can see
immediately
how
cutting to
That's
real
practical.
smoke.
That was real. That was real.
That's what voxels would look like these days.
This is the concept of the face in the ground. This ended up being an iconic image for the film because the studio and the marketing ended up taking the face in the sand and using it as the main poster for the whole film. And again, our wonderful digital team basically matched it very closely.
Also, the special effects were done by Chris Corbold, who is I think like the lead special effects supervisor on all the Bond films. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Those were all practical air guns under the sand.
Okay.
When he gets hit by the
He's
sand.
really getting hit by real jets of sand right there.
So those sand waves coming up is to hide the transition to reveal that
And you
thing
see,
coming up there.
that's exactly right.
You can really tell it's two different 3D models too.
Yeah.
That just transition instantly when the sand wave goes across.
Yep. This was one of those times where the art department was pressed into service to help the compositing team with just elements. I'd probably have that texture for the sand in Photoshop already. And I think I basically took a layer or two and sent it to the compositor, and they then used it as a displacement map, perhaps, if I'm remembering.
It almost looks like it's just the bump map texture itself is just sliding sideways.
Could be.
Everything else is staying the same, but it gives the illusion that sand is going down the slope.
So this is a scene I've been wanting to do on React for a long time because it's super impressive. You'd probably be inclined to think that those are all people in costume.
But it was all shot separately. I think they had to film this plate 5 different times.
So all of these mummies fighting are not real.
Exactly right.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Because, you know, some of them start to step over the line and we're like, okay, it's probably CG, but like that guy in front looks completely photoreal. Photoreal mummies in 1998. That's so impressive.
But I'm remembering there was a good deal of mocap.
I was gonna
Yeah, this was I think this was one of the first movies to use motion capture because I thought, wow, they have to motion capture that. So yeah.
ask. I'm wondering because the animation of them like walking looks pretty good. That little kick he did when he jumped over he does this bam,
And the head evaporates into sand. For here, I'm pretty sure there was a whole team of stunt performers.
But like, let's keep in mind, Brendan Fraser is having to do all this acting
Yes.
with nothing around
you're not
him.
hearing it.
It's almost got like a slapstick quality to the animation,
yada,
and that's what
something
kind of like betrays the
background
realism
noise.
a little
That's
bit.
not an accident. That slapstick quality you talk about is
um,
very deliberate. You don't
just
want it to
ignore
be
the back
cartoony,
sound,
but you
the
want it
back
right
noise.
up against this line where this
Ignore
is
background
supposed to be swashbuckling sparkling and fun and funny in its own sort of gross way.
Oh yeah,
So one of the things that
shot
I
right
know
there. Hold on. Let me just pause here because my mom cannot shut up sometimes. Sorry, I just had to deal with the random thing.
the director, Stephen Sommers, was hearkening back to. This is a tribute to the master
Of Ray Harryhausen.
of visual effects, Ray Harryhausen, and specifically inspired by the famous skeleton fight in Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes.
Talk about a throwback.
Just super impressive.
Oh, visual effects history 101. You cannot ignore Ray Harryhausen. All of his work basically worked in a similar way. He used a process called dynamation, the stop motion animated puppets, and inside each one of them is a metal ball and socket armature that is posable very precisely. So he animates these skeletons one frame at a time, all of them together. He has to track every skeleton arm raising and every leg that's coming forward and every sword swing. The backgrounds you see are live action plates that they have filmed on locations, and they're rear projecting those onto a rear projection screen in front of the animation tabletop set.
So what you're seeing there when the skeletons are fighting the people, that's the frame coming out of the camera.
Yeah, this shot alone would happen over days. And so the idea that nobody knocks the camera, nobody accidentally knocks the stand, that's hard. I will say, though, that it's a safe bet that the actors doing those moves in those days were not as experienced at fighting against nothing, shadow fighting,
Definitely.
that it was really weird to them. And nowadays, it's probably something actors are much more used to being asked. So we can see the connection. You can see the inspiration.
And the funny thing is, like, a lot of it's still very much the same. It's still practice your moves. You're eventually going to fight against nothing and also live in your imagination. Sure, there's mocap on here, but still it's animators going in and getting to add a little bit of
Also, I'm not mistaken,
imagination.
that's,
Sure, there's mocap on here, but still it's animators going in.
I think that was mute. I gotta slow down because it's like, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna come back here in a second. If my mom could just shut up. I've paused this video more times than I can freaking count. My God. Yeah, I think that's Ben Snow, who's another ILM legend. Ben Snow. I hope this is the same one. Ben Snow, VFX technician. So let me look at it here. Yeah, it was a visual effects supervisor on, yeah, did The Mummy. Yeah, looking at all his work here, actually, because he's a huge legend at ILM. So I'm looking at it here. Yeah, I did a few video games here. Vader Immortal. So yeah, CG supervisor on The Mummy, and he was also the associate VFX supervisor for Galaxy Quest and Pearl Harbor, visual effects supervisor on Star Wars Episode 2 and Van Helsing, which was also directed by Stephen Sommers. And if I remember correctly, Van Helsing was like ILM and Weta that collaborated on that. Additional VFX on King Kong, Iron Man, Turn Your Salvation, yeah. Noah, Avengers Age of Ultron, The Great Wall, Mother. So yeah, I'm ILM legend, nominated for 4 Oscars. That's impressive. I thought that was him, because if you look at a picture of him now, I think he's Ben Snow VFX. This is him right here. Actually, right here. This is what this is who Ben Snow looked like. And seeing him here, it is him. I'm surprised. So yeah, God, there's so many great people who worked at ILM that I'm just like, wow, that incredible roster of people. That's why I love ILM. ILM and Weta Digital, those are for me like the biggest ones because of like,
Going in and getting to add a little bit of extra once the record motions have been done. Brendan Fraser's not improving, but the animators doing the mummies get.
Damn it. Just when I was about to start the video, I have to pause for an ad.
But the animators doing the mummies get to start improving once Brendan Fraser has locked in what needs to happen when. Is that a CG hand? No, that's probably a real hand.
It looked like a real hand with the mask on the
Paint
left.
app.
Yeah, I got a story about that. I'm tempted to say that I had a hand in designing that shot.
It's okay. You can do puns here.
Dad jokes okay?
Yeah.
They're all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is that a dad joke?
Designing that shot.
Hold on.
Yeah, I got a story about that. I'm tempted to say that I had a hand in designing that shot.
It's okay. You can do puns here.
Dad jokes okay?
He's like, Dad, no. That's the first. It's been a while since I've heard a good dad joke.
Yeah.
They're all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was particularly proud of this. Is the little mummy arm,
That's
the whole
cool.
thing where he gets held onto the table, and then sword drops, and little mummy arm makes
Oh,
its
so the
way
mummy
out.
arm coming out was literally your idea?
Yeah, I can actually say that. Yeah, it literally was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You are the one who saved his life.
You can argue about how many effects, digital effects of the day hold up today, but at the time, this film represented a lot of innovation in computer graphics. This was pushing a lot of tools and techniques that had
I'm
not
looking
really
up the
been
cast.
developed, let alone matured at the time.
Guess what? It's Ren's book recommendation time because today's sponsor, Audible, allows me to share with you another one of my favorite books. One of my favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson, has a novel called Warbreaker. The story is pretty great and inverts your expectations in a really fun, surprising way. There's twists everywhere. But what I want to talk about today is the magic system, because any good Sanderson book has an excellent magic system. And in this one in particular, the system is called Awakening. Essentially, every single person in the world has this essence, this
It's
sort of
avocado.
energy that they can actually transfer to someone else if they choose. And people can actually accumulate many of these essences. They're called breaths. You actually breathe out your essence or this energy. And what happens is that when you start getting more of these, you end up becoming more powerful. You start getting really random powers, such as really accurate color interpretation, really perfect pitch hearing. Imagine being able to just like suddenly be the world's best musician, but even more so, you can actually use these breaths to awaken objects. What does that mean? Let's say I awaken this shirt here and I give it a command to wrap around my arm. It goes, no big deal, but I can also command it to
Sorry
wrap
about
around my arm. It goes, no big deal, but I can also command it to grab someone. I can have it strangle someone, not just cloths. What about little rag dolls? Or swords. That's right, the coolest character in the entire book is a sword. Nightblood. It's the coolest name, and it's the coolest sword. It feasts upon your soul if you let it. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds kind of weird, but trust me, Sanderson never fails to deliver an epic storyline with a really cool system. You're gonna love it. You get a few chapters in, and you'll be hooked. Trust me, if you've ever gotten on one of my book recommendations before, you know I don't lead you astray. And of course, you can begin listening to this book right now on Audible. With your membership, you get a new credit to spend on a new book every single month, but also you get an entire catalog, the Plus catalog, of a whole bunch of different titles, podcasts, interesting originals that you can get. There's a lot there that's included in the membership, and you can get a 30-day free membership by going to audible.com/corridorcrew, or just simply text Corridor Crew to 500-500. These are my favorite segments to do because I get to literally just tell you guys to read some of my favorite books. This is the best. Okay, now watch as I morph cut into Nick's dad.
It's extremely rare that we record an episode on this channel where we get to hold in our hands actual pieces of history. You know, we grew up with this stuff, it inspired us, but then to hold like the pencil drawings for like the storyboards for the intro of The Mummy in my hands, it's pretty special. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a real pleasure to come on and sit on the couch with you guys and go through these troves of nostalgia and effects history. And I'm so glad that this is an audience that is interested. That's the beauty of your audience and you guys. You appreciate their place in sort of history.
Yeah.
So how awesome to be able to share all this.
If you guys would like to see more of Alex's art, you can follow him on Instagram at Alexander Laurent, or you can go to his website, alexlaurent.net.
Come visit.
We'll have links in the description below if you don't feel like typing it all manually.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I gotta go back on the cast list for this movie. Mummy 1999. Because, yeah, like, a lot of people worked on this. Alright, so I'm looking here. I'm clicking cast and crew. Damn, it's just... Damn, this movie's so freaking good. Sorry, I'm lowering the frame rate. Should have done that a while ago. Alright, alright, special effects. Here it is. Let's see, Chris Corbold, senior special effects supervisor, and then all right, let's see. Everyone who worked at ILM. Let's see who I can recognize instantly. Uh, all right. There's John Andrew Burton Jr. We already saw him. I think he left ILM halfway through. I'm still looking here. Still watching. Still looking. Digital model supervisor James Doherty. Yeah, here it is. Right here. Scott Farrar, visual effects supervisor, Thebes and Hamunaptra collapse sequences. I think it's like at the end of the movie. What else? I gotta see if I notice someone else, cause Jeff Heron. What do I know him from? I think I know that name. He's another, if I'm not mistaken. And Marshall Richard Krasser. Um, let's see. Jeff Mann, who was the production designer on the first Transformers movie. There's so many ILM people here that it's amazing. It's scary actually. Um, let's see. Um, all right, Ben Snow, we already saw that. VFX director of photography for the Thebes and Hapanaptra collapse Thebes sequences in the Hapanaptra. So both the beginning and the ending of the film was what Scott Farrar did, and then right here is where it ends. All right, yeah, all right, here it is. The first one we can look at: Jeff Heron, Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones 4, and Terminator Salvation. Okay. Um, so he's got special effects credits. Oh, he's working as a special effects technician on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He's done 13 Reasons Why, Jurassic World, San Andreas, Lone Ranger, the first Avengers film, Red Tails. Oh yeah, Kerner Optical. I remember that. And also worked on Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Damn. Visual effects supervisor. Here it is. Oh, Fire in the Sky. That was a good one. Yeah. Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. If I remember correctly, yeah. Kerner Optical. Kerner Optical. I remember Kerner Optical. It was like a big miniature company that unfortunately closed. If I was an American practical visual effects company based in San Rafael. Kerner's history dates to George Lucas's founding of Industrial Light and Magic. Who's the? Let's see. Some of the movies that they've done. All right, Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3. Uh, Iron Man 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, did a lot of films for ILM, but eventually they went bankrupt. According to IMDb, they've actually, I think their last movie was the Neil Blomkamp movie Elysium. There it is, Marshall Richard Krasser, associate visual effects supervisor on Indiana Jones 4, and let's see what else he's done. Okay, so he's the VFX supervisor for Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I think he left ILM now that now that I'm looking at it here. He left ILM. And so let's see. Mordecai, Black Hat, Interview. Uh yeah, his last one was The Great Gatsby, and then his first non-ILM movie was 300 Rise of an Empire. So yeah, Great Gatsby. I am number CG sequence supervisor on Iron Man 2. Uh associate visual effects supervisor on Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Van Helsing, Harry Potter, Pearl Harbor, The Perfect Storm, Galaxy Quest, Snake Eyes, the Nick Cage movie. Yeah, a lot of movies. Lot of movies, I tell you. Damn it. Yeah, I have to reload these pages because if you don't visit these pages instantly, they just go like that. And pause. How to grab something. All right, here it is. Jeff Mann. Or maybe I got confused. Maybe it's not. I thought it was the same one. Uh, I thought it was, but it's not. All right, here's the other one. Pat Sweeney, who's mostly a director of photography. Yeah. VFX unit director of photography on Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, Lone Ranger, Red Dawn, Cowboys and Aliens, uh, Iron Man 2. Sorry. Yeah. Lots of, yeah, practically just a cameraman for like special effects unit. So yeah. And a brief sidetrack onto while I'm here. I must have gotten the production designers confused because, if I'm not mistaken, the name of the production designer was. Maybe it's not the same one. Yeah, it's a different one. The one who is the production designer on Tropic Thunder. I thought it was the same one, but it's not. I get confused easily. I'm going back to the ILM page before we end the video. Industrial Light and Magic. Sorry, I had something stuck in my. Yeah. Layer 2 surrogates. Yeah. Alright. Here it is. IndustrialLightandMagic.com. Art department. What is the art department here like? Creatures and characters, key environments and frames, legacy, videos. I really wish I could find yeah, here it is. Aaron McBride, let's see. Alexei Chernogorod, Alex Yeager, Alex Pritchard, Alex Utke, Amber Wong, Andrew Poole, Andrew Whitehurst. I know that guy. Andrew Whitehurst. Oh, the VFX supervisor on Ex Machina. Ben Morris, uh, Bill George, and let's see, Chad Weeb. Um, I'm still looking here. Uh, Dave Dolly, Dave Seeger, Dave Vickery, Dennis Mirren, Eddie Pasquarello. I'm still looking at all this. Yeah, Grady Kofer, Ian Comley, Janet Lewin, Jay Cooper, Jason Snell, Jeff Capograco, who I think worked at Weta before joining ILM. Jill Brooks, John Knoll, obviously creative senior VFX supervisor. Julian Foddy, Kevin Martell. I wonder if Roger Guyatt is here somewhere. I think I noticed it. Maybe it's at the end of the page. Moen Leo, Nigel Sumner, Rob Rideau. Yeah, here it is. Roger Guyatt. Roger Guyatt. And Russell Earl as well. Why did I notice the name of Whitehurst? All right, so here's what it won an Oscar. I think for Ex Machina that he won the Oscar. Associate VFX supervisor on Spectre and Devs. So I think he just joined. Started off at double negative and then. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hmm. Roger Guyatt joined ILM in 1994 to work on the groundbreaking anime. Casper was another one of those. Uh, yeah, and then Russell Earl joined the company since Casper, and then he's done. Here it is. Prior to ILM, Russell Earl worked for Douglas Trumbull, putting both his model making skills and digital artistry. Interned at VFX and contributed to feature films such as Patriot Games and Batman Returns. So yeah, and look at all these people here. There's like a lot of people who are at ILM. It's like scary, very crazy at times to think of all the legends. A lot of people came from ILM. I remember. I think it was like during the early 2000s. Joe Lettieri left the company so he could join Weta, but ILM and Weta happen to work in a lot of movies from time to time. So, and sometimes if Weta's like the main VFX company, ILM will provide some art for some concept development. I think the recent one was The Tomorrow War. Okay, let me just put my glasses back on. They were dirty. Freaking dirty. And then, yeah. Alright, I'm ending the video here. This was VFX artists react to The Mummy, bad and great CGI, and with with the VFX art director on it. So that's amazing right there. Plus, like, one of the guys who is like his dad formerly worked at ILM. So that's awesome right there. Great video, guys. I'll leave a link to the original video as well as a link to Instagram. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I gotta end the video now, so Godspeed and take care.